Hello, everybody. I first want to start by saying that it is an honor and a privilege to be participating in this and presenting to you all. So thank you so much for the opportunity. So my name is Bob Kahn. I teach middle school programming at Brentwood School in Los Angeles and the middle school introductory robotics class. I'm also the ed tech specialist for our middle school. And this idea for creating a Spanish conjugation or verb conjugation machine came to me a number of years ago when I, just for my own edification, decided to take the AP BJC program up at Berkeley. And then it sort of was dormant for a little while. And then when I took the middle school BJC program over the summer and then was teaching it this last year, it sort of became active again in my mind. And I convinced some Spanish teachers to allow me to get into their classroom and give this a go for the first time. And I think it went pretty well. I'm very excited about it. I'm excited to share it with you. And I'm hoping maybe you might give me some pointers as to how to make it more efficient, because I think there might be some ways. So let's just begin with a demo. And you all can see my screen, please. Yeah?
Yep, we can.
Cool, thank you. So it could be Spanish, it could be French, it could be Latin. I mean, I think there's applications for just the English language and so forth. I'm going to kind of switch back and forth between different modes of like what I like, pretend I'm talking to my students, my 7th and 8th grade students, and then also putting on my explanation hat, where I'll be explaining to you like how I did things. So first of all, what I do with the students is once I get them all set up in Scratch, I write on the board, what this needs to do. And I try to make the steps as simple as possible, because many of my students are going to come to this project having no experience. Some will have had a little bit of Scratch experience. Some might be in my coding class, my coding elective class. And so I try to tease this out of them. So I'll ask them, well, if we want our machine to conjugate a verb, a regular verb in Spanish, what do we need it to do? And I try to guide them to figure that out, because I think that's one of the most important steps, is for students to realize what they want the program to do. And so first it needs to ask for an ER or an IR verb or even an AR verb. And then it's going to report back to the user that the input that they made was either an ER or an IR verb. And the third step is, as the creator of the program, the student will need to have made the list of endings beforehand, so that the fourth step can happen and the endings can be added to the verb. So let's have a little demo of this. I always like to have the students, whenever I start a project with them, start and have a little interactivity with a sprite, so that they have some ownership of it, and it's sort of immediately fun for them, and so they're less likely to get bogged down in the blocks. So I chose Alonso, and so we click Alonso, and come on, Alonso, there we go. And so I'll type in decir, which is to say, and it says decir is an IR verb and is conjugated in the following way, and it shows the list of how it's conjugated. So that's pretty simple and straightforward. If I go inside and I show you what this looks like, these are kind of these are the 4 steps here. And so what you may notice right off the bat is on the left side here where all the blocks are, I have hidden all the unused blocks. Because what I find, and this is one of my favorite, absolute favorite features of Snap, because my students tend to get bogged down with all the different options and all the different choices. And so if I can eliminate those and have it just show the blocks that are going to be used in the project, it's going to be better for many of the students. Some of the bright ones will, hey, how do I want to do this? And I will absolutely show them how to unhide the blocks. And the way I do this is I have to create the project ahead of time and then save the project. And then if I click in here, right click in here, and I go to hide blocks, and then you right click in the space here and you just click unused and okay, then it hides all the blocks. Now, one of the things, the mistake I made the first time I did this was that I then saved it as a template and sent the template to the kids, but I didn't delete my own code here. So it came with the project already there for them. So I quickly fixed that. But here you can see it asks for the verb to conjugate, and then there's an if block, and it reports the answer, and it's if it's equal to IR, then let me close this out a little bit smaller. There we go. Then it's going to identify it as an IR verb and put it in the sentence. And then here it's going to join the answer of that verb. I'm sorry, this is the sentence right here. And then here is where it maps over the answer, but it first has to remove the last two letters. So it's join all but the last letter of, and then another nested inside there of the answer. I'm not sure why I need this here. Maybe somebody can help me figure out why that needs to be there at the end here. And then it maps it over the list, and that's how we get our conjugation. So if I click it again, here we go, and I type in desir, there's the sentence joining it, and then it lists it here. It shows the list. So the thing that's interesting now at this point is I take the students through building this. And then I ask them, okay, what do we want to do next? And inevitably somebody will say, well, we want to build the same thing for ER. So some of them actually start going and grabbing the blocks and doing that. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's an easier way. And so I just show them how to duplicate it and plop it there and put it together. And of course, some of them make the mistake of not changing it. And so we have to change the ER there, and we have to change, I think there's one change here where this is EIS in the list of the suffixes. And so now if we run this again, I will make it bigger. Okay, and I can do an ER verb. Let's say I'm thirsty. And oops. Okay, so there's a mistake there that it conjugated it right, but it didn't say that it was an ER verb. Let me stop this and start it again and see what happens. Beer.
Change the say.
I didn't change the say. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So this is the say right. Right here. Thank you.
That's the spot.
That's the spot. Thank you for that. So now that's going to work fine. And so if I do beer, and this is perfect. I'm glad that happened because I'm illustrating what happens with the students as well.
Yeah, Bob and I planned this beforehand.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, so now that's all pretty cool. And the kids like this. This might take us through the first day. This might be a 2 to 3 day activity. Our classes are anywhere from 60 to 70 minutes long. And right off the bat, I'll have students that will then do the same thing for AR, and they'll add another block here. Once they all have this, then I show them that all this script here is, okay, it's nice, but it's kind of messy. Can we clean it up a little bit? And I show them how to make a block and build it here and call it conjugate. So here I have added it in here and in this block called conjugate. I show them how to build this and I attach there, that at the bottom. I need my answer to put in there. And then of course, this is going to work just as well. Okay, like so. So there's a lot I'm getting through, and I don't necessarily want to bog the students down with everything of what it's called, except I will tell them that this is an abstraction because this represents everything that's inside, but you don't really care at this point what it looks like. You just care that it works. And so I'll identify that. The next thing I want to show them is, well, it would be nice if the program was able to then ask for a pronoun in Spanish and add the verb to the pronoun, the appropriately modified verb. And so I've done that, and I'm just trying to organize here. I think I'll throw that away and put this on there like that. And so I've done that here with this set of blocks of this script, and I'll attach it here. So now this is a whole nother set of blocks that the one thing I had to do to make this work is I had to make a variable for the ER list and the IR list. And that is what I'm doing here. I set the IR list to the answer if it is an IR verb. And that basically just takes this and makes it part of the list. And then this is where I'm going to stop in a few moments and maybe ask for some comments, answer questions, and ask for some advice as to whether this is the most efficient way to do this. What it's doing is it's asked another question. Choose a pronoun to put in front of your verb. If the answer is yo, meaning I, then join it with the first item of the IR list. And if it's to, the second item of the IR list, and so forth, all the way down. And then here, this is kind of neat because what if it's nosotras versus nosotros? They have to code that in there. And then, of course, to do that with ER and AR, they're going to duplicate this whole set and put it underneath that as well, like so. And let's see if that works, if I didn't introduce any bugs to it. So if I do beber, because I am getting thirsty from talking so long in a row like this. So there's beber, there's it being conjugated, and then it should, so I'll type in yo bebo, I am thirsty. So that is my project, and the kids love it. I think some of the other things I've heard today in Brendan's talk about bringing this to other teachers. I know my teachers at my school, they think of coding and computer science and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. And so my goal is to bring it in to the classroom and demonstrate it for them. And whether they're going to start doing it or not, I'm not real confident, but at least I'm available to show it to the students. I also think it would be really cool. I was inspired by Mary yesterday reminding me about the Super Silly Stories project for the middle school curriculum. I think to add this to that would be maybe my next level to explore this year. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll open it up for questions or comments in the last 4 or 5 minutes here.
Professor Bob,
Yes.
I have after school club that, and we're a K through 12 campus. So I'd like the girls to be able to work with our middle school Spanish teachers and be able to present. That'd be really engaging for the kids. Curious, can you share out an earlier version of your code that shows it after when you stopped working with the kids on, and now they're going on and doing the next phase by themselves?
You mean like this code right here?
Yes. Before you added the part at the very top and all that. That way the girls have something that they can work with in trying to develop their lesson plan.
Absolutely, I can do that. In the description of my talk, I think I have a link to the finished product, and I can add another link to just another version, which I'm calling SnapCon, Spanish regular verb conjugation. You can also just remove this part right here, and then you've got this component, which is just that basic initial part.
Was there anything in between the two steps that you kind of did as an intermediary, or did you just jump right in?
Let's see, what did I do? Well, yes, there was this step where I just duplicated this section to make it ER. And then I had to make those changes, including the one that I did not change right here, which Dave helped me find. But I can set this up for you and make another link. Who was that was asking me that question?
Mark Groman.
Oh, okay, Mark, for sure.
I have a question, Bob, and that's do you explain to them what MAP does?
I do.
Because I would think they would find that very difficult to digest. And also, why don't you make lots of blocks instead of, it seems to me that the if statement is so long, it could be a block in itself. And so I would make a series of blocks, an ER block, an IR block.
I see. And who is that's talking?
Cynthia.
No, I'm just kidding, Cynthia. I know it's you.
I know.
So if I understand you correctly, Cynthia, are you telling me to make a separate block for turn this IR one into a block and then turn this ER into a block?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that suggestion. I like that too, because I don't like that this is so long.
I would offer a different approach,
Please.
which is a little harder to do and may not be suitable for all students, but that would eliminate all the duplication.
Same here.
Yeah, I think there's some other, just from comments in the chat, I think other people might have the same thought. And in the complex if-else business, I would maybe make a lookup table that associates the number of the list with the pronoun. So you have a little data table. So for instance, nosotros is 4 and ustedes is 5 and ellos is 6. The only complicated one is nosotros and nosotras, but you could manage that perhaps by having a list in that first name thing. Anyway, most students couldn't do that. And so I understand why people duplicate the code.
Yes.
But remember, when you duplicated the code, it led to the copy paste errors that you yourself experienced.
Yes. Well, I did that on purpose.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
to demonstrate
beforehand.
Yes. So I wasn't looking at the chat. Were many of you talking about how I should not do the duplication?
I think Nariman and I maybe were.
No, I'm perfectly fine with the code duplication, but that's also a great chance to like improve and go over, like tell the kids like, you see this, yeah.
But
I hate to cut you guys off, but we are over time.
We've run
Oh,
out
Okay,
of
you
time.
guys
sorry.
know, but we're over time.
But
Uh,
so that seems to be a next step, not the
Yeah,
first. The
it
first
would be
step
the next
me
step.
would be to break
Um,
it up into blocks. And the second step would be, I've got all these blocks, they do the same thing. How can I change that?
Okay, thank you
Okay,
very much, everybody.